keep your investing journey simple. Stop thinking about maximizing how much Bitcoin you buy. Just buy Bitcoin and wait. Create as much value as you can, put it into Bitcoin, and enjoy your life. That's it. You can live your life. You don't have to think about the power law. You don't have to think about the 4 year cycle. None of that is relevant over the long term. All you need to focus on is getting as much nominal Bitcoin as you can. And in this video, I want to go into this in depth. Let's get started. I've noticed that most people are focused just on buying Bitcoin at the best price. They don't care about how much Bitcoin they get. They don't care about getting to a whole coin. They don't care about getting to zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. All they care about is making sure that the price they pay is the lowest possible price. They don't care about anything else. They're not focusing on the fundamentals of Bitcoin. All they're focusing on is their ego. They feel like maybe they missed out on Bitcoin early when it was at $10,000, $5,000, $3,000. So now they want to buy at the lowest possible price so that in the future they can say, I bought at this price, rather than having to tell people that they bought the top. That's one of the biggest things that you need to avoid in your Bitcoin journey. The reason why you need to avoid this is because over time, every price will eventually be a rounding error. You can see here in just one day, Bitcoin's price rose $2,900. And these price rises and falls are now normal. If we go to the 1 year chart, we can see here it rises about 59% or $39,000 within just a month and a half. And then it falls $23,000 within 3 to 4 months. And then again, it rises $48,000 in 4 to 5 months. And then again, it falls $8,700 in 3 months. When Bitcoin was down to about $15,000, $16,000 in 2022, people were telling me I'm stupid. People were telling me that I shouldn't buy. And I kind of bought into the hype. I didn't buy as much as I possibly could. When I did, I was slow in deploying the capital that I had. It took me a lot of time to really figure out what Bitcoin was because I was more focused on making sure that I could get back to whatever price it was that I first started really paying attention to Bitcoin. And this cost me a lot. It was my ego that was holding me back from buying as much Bitcoin as I possibly could. I could have bought a lot more when it was lower, but I didn't because I thought it would go even lower. But again, when I think about those decisions that I made back then to buy Bitcoin, I think that they ended up being some of the best decisions I ever made because now Bitcoin's about 6 to 7 times higher than where it was back then. Instead of keeping it simple and accumulating as much Bitcoin as possible, the people around me were focused on getting the best price rather than focusing on the amount of nominal Bitcoin that they actually have. What I mean by keeping it simple is focus on the fundamentals. What exactly is Bitcoin? What is the value of Bitcoin? Bitcoin is digital gold that can't be debased, and you can move it around on the internet. You can use it without getting permission from anybody. It's censorship resistant. You can buy anything you want with Bitcoin. You can move it anywhere in the world. You can use it to transact. That's the main purpose of Bitcoin. Too many people are focused on earning cash flow. They're focused on trying to buy physical assets. They want to buy real estate because it gives them cash flows, it gives them tax advantages, but they don't look at the total returns. You can see here that in the last 5 years, this is since 2020, October of 2020, Bitcoin is up 730%. Since late 2022, it's up 586%. Which other asset class can give you this level of returns? Nothing. So many people are focused on first buying Bitcoin, then rotating into gold, then rotating into stocks, then rotating into real estate, and then doing all these complex strategies because they can't just keep it simple. They can't just focus on accumulating Bitcoin. They're trying to protect their ego by buying at the lowest possible price so that they can get as much Bitcoin as possible. Instead of doing all that, just create value, serve as many people as you possibly can, and use the income that you get from serving those people to buy Bitcoin. Convert that income into Bitcoin, convert that value into Bitcoin. Stop trying to complicate things. Stop looking at the tail end events and trying to predict when Bitcoin is going to drop 80%. Because if you just stack as much as you possibly can, I guarantee you that you're going to have more than the people who are waiting for the lows and then those lows never happen. We're in a very different cycle right now. Again, people might tell me that, oh, this time's different. Everybody says that every single cycle. But I truly do think that this time is different because the institutional bid is here. They're buying as much as they possibly can, and they're using the legacy markets to accumulate as much cash as they can to buy as much Bitcoin as they can. Think about it. MicroStrategy is offering all these preferred shares. They're giving a 10, 12% yield, and they're buying Bitcoin with all of the proceeds. They can do this for a very, very long time, and they can keep buying more and more Bitcoin. And every time they buy Bitcoin, they're eliminating other people from being able to buy that Bitcoin because I don't think that they're going to sell. The worst case scenario here is if they need to, they can just sell more shares into the market to buy more Bitcoin. And they're just scooping all of this Bitcoin up from people who are scared, people who are worried, people who think that Bitcoin is going to go a lot lower than where it is today. So, again, keep it simple. Stop focusing on the short term charts. Stop focusing on where Bitcoin could go if it falls, if the next bear market happens. Stop thinking about how low Bitcoin's price will go and how stupid you'll feel if Bitcoin's price does go a lot lower, because the most important thing here is stacking as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. At some point, you're going to notice that the prices that you bought at are very, very low, even though at the time when you were buying, it felt very, very expensive. If you bought the top in October, that's perfectly fine. All you have to do is wait. Just wait and hold on to what you have and keep stacking as much as you can, because at some point, whatever Bitcoin you have will be worth a lot more than whatever it's worth today. Keep in mind that I first started buying Bitcoin in around February of 2022 when it was at 40,000 or 35,000 US dollars, and it fell about 60% after I bought it. You can see here it dropped $23,000. So it dropped more than the Bitcoin that I had was even worth. The pain that I went through when I was seeing that drop happen was worth it because it meant that over time I'd have more Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's price falls, it's actually a good thing for you because you can bring your average cost down. Instead of letting the news distract you when people say that Bitcoin is dying, Bitcoin is dead, all that, instead of letting that distract you, focus more on accumulating as much as you possibly can, because that's the best decision you're going to make over the next decade, over the next 20 years, over the next 30 years. If you found value in this video, watch this one here where I explain how much Bitcoin you're going to need to retire in the next 10 years.